Look, you're probably tired of having a flat chest and skinny arms and not getting any sort of respect from your male peers or maybe even female counterparts. Today we're going to talk about building muscle as a skinny guy. Let's talk about it. It's just a little bit harder. How did you make the fight than being put? What's up guys, Simanga Michael Njapa here, personal trainer and online coach. We're back with another episode and today we're going to talk about building muscle as a skinny guy. So please make sure you give the video a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I know I got a lot of you guys watching and not subscribing. What's that about? Please subscribe. And we're trying to get to 1K. And this is how the video is going to be structured. We're going to do 3 points, and as always, because I'm such a nice guy, we're going to do a bonus clip or bonus point at the end. So make sure that you stay tuned all the way to the end of the video for that. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so before we get into the 3 points and then the bonus at the end, we're just going to quickly discuss common misconceptions and challenges that the skinny guy might face. And when I say the skinny guy, I'm also talking about myself, because sometimes I see myself as a skinny guy, but I know that I'm not anymore, but I definitely was for a long time. So I've been working out for 10 plus years now, and the skinny guy mentality is real. You know, you feel like you almost feel like you're not man enough. You feel like women don't respect you. They definitely don't find you attractive, at least in a physical sense. But some of the challenges that skinny people or skinny guys run into is that people tell them the metabolism is so fast, and anything that they eat is, you know, just used up, and their body doesn't want to gain. And although the fact that their metabolism might be fast is valid, it's simple thermodynamics where if you want to gain weight, you need to eat more than you're burning, and vice versa if you're trying to lose weight. So you just need to make sure that you're eating the right stuff. That's the main challenge that they have, is the skinny guy will eat a lot of chips, they'll eat a lot of sweets, all these other empty calories, instead of prioritizing whole foods and all that kind of stuff. The other thing is, like I mentioned earlier, there is a lack of confidence, because you almost don't feel like you can assert yourself fully. And this isn't to say necessarily that you need to be huge and stocky and whatever. It's just to have a little bit of a frame as a man sometimes does help, you know. And this is not me trying to perpetuate some sort of stereotype, but I know from my experience and a lot of other male counterparts that I've spoken to who've had a similar journey like my own, when I was skinny, I just didn't feel like I could go up to another man and be like, no, I disagree in this way or whatever, or go up to a girl and be like, hey, I'm presenting myself, I'm putting myself out there. Yes, you might reject me, but I'm still confident in the package that I'm presenting, you know. But yeah, those are some real things that skinny guys go through. So point number 1 is nutrition needed for muscle gains. Like I alluded to before, when you're a typical skinny guy and you're finding it hard to gain weight, the laws of thermodynamics have not changed. You just need to eat more than you're burning, but eat more whole foods, eat more calorie dense foods. So what does that look like? Foods that come from the earth, your meats, your vegetables, your potatoes, your white potatoes, your sweet potatoes, rice, all those kind of things. But make sure that you're in a calorie surplus when you're doing all that kind of stuff. But also, because we're talking about protein and building muscle, like I said, protein is going to be essential. We need to make sure that our protein intake is in the right place, whether we use a 1:1 ratio or anything more than that. For a gram of protein per pound of body weight, we just need to make sure we're at least at a gram, and that will be a good start. Of course, if you're at 0.5 per gram per pound, if you go to 0.7, it'll be better. And if you continue to up it in that way, of course that'll be a progression. It'll be better than what it was before. But just aim for a 1:1 at the beginning. If you feel like that's easy to hit, or you've been hitting that, maybe up it a little bit more. Okay, point number 2, effective training techniques. With the effective training techniques, I would like for you guys to try and master the basics. So things like your compound movements, like your bench press, your overhead press, your squat, your deadlifts, your rows, those kind of movements where lots of muscles are being used at the same time, but also you can kind of load the movements a little bit better. Not to say if you don't do other movements, you won't gain the same amount of muscle. It's just a bang for your buck. For the amount of time that you spend, you get a lot more return with those movements. Of course, you'll cycle them in and out of your training as time goes and you progress into your training, but it kind of gives you a lot for the amount of time that you're spending doing the exercise, if that makes sense. It's not like a thing that it completely changes because you're a skinny guy. You need to focus more on machine work or whatever. That's the case for most people, to be honest. Unless you're, again, nuance. Unless you're an obese person and you can't do a deadlift or whatever, we would just start with some sort of other movement that is regressed, maybe that mimics a deadlift or mimics a row or something like that. And then that other thing that stays the same with the training is training progressively. If we're trying to build muscle, we need to train progressively. Why on earth would your body want to adapt? Muscle is expensive tissue to have on your body. It's metabolically active tissue to have, and it takes energy to have that tissue on you. So why would your body make those adaptations if it doesn't have to? You know what I mean? So you need to almost tell your body, and not force it, but tell your body, we need to make these adaptations because of the stimulus that I'm sending, and you're going to feed it appropriately and rest it appropriately, all those kind of things, so that it can make those changes. Please be sure to leave me a comment if you know someone that is a skinny guy, or you want to share this with someone who's a skinny guy or was a skinny guy like myself, and often looks back at times like that, or needs to have some sort of motivation of, this is where you're at now, you don't have to stay here, you can continue to progress, and a video like this would help them. Be sure to stay to the end of the video, guys, because I'm also going to be dropping a bonus point there. Let's move on to point number 3. Point number 3, guys, is supplementation. And there's an awesome book by Dr. Mike Israetel, James Hoffman, and the Renaissance Periodization crew that they put out, and I was listening to it on Audible, where they were talking about how when you're trying to look for body recomposition, not necessarily health, but body recomposition, and you're changing what your body is composed of, some principles hold more weight than other principles. So what they meant by that is, if you're trying to change your body and gain muscle or lose body fat, first thing you need to look for is that calorie surplus or the calorie deficit. That's number 1. And then if you're trying to continue going down that path of body recomposition, now you need to look at what are your daily calories made up of, the macronutrient profile of the calories of your day. And then I forgot the other ones, but meal timing I think is in there, and supplements is one of the lowest. Supplements is about what? I think they said 5%, 5 to 10%, somewhere there. And then the calories themselves are almost 50%. And then the macronutrient profiling is about 30%. So those are, if you get those 2 right, you're already way further than most people who start by focusing on supplements, which are like 5%. So I do think we sometimes overvalue supplements because we think they're magic. You know, they're really not. The basics are still the basics. But long story less long, when it comes to supplements, you want to make sure that you still prioritize nutrient dense foods. You can try supplements like whey, creatine, a good pre-workout in caffeine would be fine here and there, but supplements really don't matter as much as we give them we give them the time of day. And I understand it's because most of the time we're looking for some sort of shortcut, because we're always looking to do things a little bit faster, which I'm not mad at. Honestly, I think we've all done something, whether we're trying to grow on Instagram, grow on YouTube. We always try to see if we can do it a little bit faster, because these things, growth in general is hard and takes a little while. So I'm not mad at that. But just know that supplements, there are a few good ones, but supplements only make up 5 to 10% of the grand scheme of things, of calories and macronutrients within those calories, and how they're supposed to be split up and all that kind of stuff. Right. Bonus point, lifestyle factors. So when I say lifestyle factors, I'm talking you're smoking, you're drinking, maybe you're sedentary, little things like that. Those are things that can maybe hinder your ability as a skinny guy to grow muscle. So I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak from my own experience. So my lifestyle habit when I was trying to gain muscle, and I'm still obviously trying to gain muscle all the time, but I'm relatively muscular now. But when I wasn't, one of the things that I used to do, I used to play soccer, right? So my dad is busy teasing me about being skinny. Obviously I get annoyed and I'm like, screw it, I use a different word, but I was like, screw it. I'm gonna get into the gym. I'm gonna not be bullied anymore, or not feel ashamed of how I look anymore. And so I get into the gym, I start lifting weights. I'm getting a little bit stronger here and there. Something's happening to my biceps or whatever. But I just keep feeling like I'm going back and forth. But meanwhile, I'm playing soccer. So I'd play soccer. After playing soccer, I go to the weight room and then I do whatever I do. So years later, someone tells me, no, you can't play soccer and lift weights because you're building the muscle and you're burning it at the same time. And at the time when they told me this, I didn't understand it. I just tried. I was like, okay, I think maybe I didn't make the team, whatever. But I basically, for some reason, I stopped playing soccer and I kind of just ended up focusing more on weightlifting. And now, years later, the penny dropped where, I was sending two different signals to my body. One of, I'm doing an endurance sport, I'm trying to get more efficient at endurance. That's what my body is thinking. So it's paring muscle down. But at the same time, I'm doing weightlifting, so I'm trying to get stronger and build more muscle, which is super counterintuitive to the signal that I'm getting from training for soccer. So of course my body was like, hey, we don't know what to do with this. And I was kind of stagnating and in a plateau for like the longest time. So just be cognizant of your lifestyle, things that you might be doing that are holding you back and not allowing you to propel you in that journey of gaining a little bit more muscle mass. Okay, lastly, I just wanted to offer a little bit of encouragement because, like I said, I know the struggle. I've been there myself. And I mentioned at the beginning of the video something about confidence and, female counterparts. But a lot of us, I think, who started in the space, at least as guys, maybe ladies it's different, maybe it's the same, I don't know. But sometimes you start because you want the respect of your peers, or you want the opposite sex to like you more. But it as you keep going on your journey, you kind of eventually see, like, low-key it's not about that, especially because you get compliments from guys a lot more than you get from girls anyways. But you kind of see that it's not about that. It's about how you feel. It's about how you as a person grow from experiencing those hardships of being great one day, being not so great the other day, you being great, but you feel like you're not great. And someone's like, hey, you look great, even though you feel like you're not great. And then you make these connections of, how I look at myself isn't always how other people look at me, and vice versa. So it's a whole journey. It really is, and it does take some time, but do not give up. It's possible. I will see if I can place pictures of me here, but I promise you it is possible. No steroids, nothing. You can do it all natural. I promise you can. Right, before we wrap up, I just want to go on a quick recap quickly. Subject number 1 was nutrition for gaining muscle. We talked about your calories, where your protein intake should be, because we're trying to prioritize muscle as what we're trying to build. And then subject number 2 was effective training techniques. How we need to start with compound lifts. Even if we don't though, we can still gain muscle. We just need to make sure that we train progressively, we train correctly. We prioritize the stretch part of the rep, all those kind of things. that I've mentioned in prior videos, might I add. Subject number 3 was supplementation. There we talked about how supplementation isn't the be all and end all, how it's literally like 5 to 10% of the whole equation, and people think it's, you know, it's God, but it's not. And then lastly, and the bonus point, was lifestyle factors, things that might be holding you back in your lifestyle from gaining the amount of muscle. There I shared my story about playing soccer and trying to lift weights at the same time and get bigger at the same time, and how those were counter signals to each other, and how I was basically in a hole because of that. Alrighty guys, please make sure you like the video. Send me or rather leave me comments. Leave me comments as to why or how you've been a skinny guy on this similar type of journey. Maybe share this with a skinny guy who might need to hear this. And as usual, we have been working on the starter pack program. It is about to come out, I promise. I know you guys you keep saying that. I promise it's gonna come out. We've been working diligently. It's coming. I'll see you guys on the next one.